With me today is one of Britain's best sportsmen never to have won an Olympic gold medal, the 8 times world darts champion, Phil Taylor. Phil,
Good morning.
Pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Big hero of mine. Anybody who's won world championships as consistently and as devastating as you have is worthy of a big one of those. And of course, as a British sportsman, there's not many people that really are in a stronger position as you to lay claim to being at the top of the tree. Steve Redgrave, perhaps.
I think there's been a few over the years. Steve, yourself has one, definitely. I mean, you dominated snooker for so many years. Eric was another. Steve Redgrave's another one. Daley Thompson, who was one of my heroes as well. And then along comes Stephen Hendry, who I really admire. I think the lad's absolutely fantastic. But it's just, I suppose it's just something in you. I mean, people ask me how you do it, and probably people ask you, and I couldn't explain really, because we just don't like to lose, do we? Simple as that.
No, I think that the thing about it, and when you look at Stephen Hendry's performances in the 90s, certainly dominating, but above that as well. And I think you're in the same. You're not just winning by narrowest of margins and scraping through, but you're actually sort of powering your way through. That's your nickname.
Yes.
The power. And I mean, that's the impressive thing. That really, although you're going to lose every now and again, really it's a foregone. I know it's a foregone conclusion in one respect. If you play your game, there's nobody going to get near you, and they've got to be lucky to get near you. That's how I view it as a punter watching the darts at the moment. So that must make you feel invincible.
I'm an idle player. That's what's one of my problems. I do enjoy practicing, and I also don't enjoy practicing, if you know what I mean. Once I start practicing, I enjoy it, but the thought of getting up in the morning and doing 4 to 5 hours practice absolutely kills me. So I do get idle. I'm my worst enemy. I mean, there's tournaments that I've lost, and it's been my own fault because I've not practiced.
Would that not also then perhaps keep you fresher if you did laid off a bit? If you were practicing too much, would that make a difference?
Yeah, I have actually over-practiced once. I lost the embassy back in 1993, and I was absolutely brilliant. I practiced for about 2 months, and about 2 weeks before the tournament, I overdid it, and I was sick of myself with it, and I lost the tournament. I was brilliant up to then. I mean, Eric had put a massive bet on me. As you know, then Eric was my sponsor and whatnot, and I lost it. That learned me a bit. I'm still learning, actually. I'm still learning the game. I've just come back from Ireland. I actually won the Irish, the Grand Prix, but I didn't play that well, even though I won it fairly easy, except for the first round where I could have got beat.
But you seem to have got the balance right now of, all my career I've wondered, how much do you practice? People ask you all the time, how much do you practice? What do you do? What do you do in practice? How much do you practice? I play every day and I feel like I'm getting worse.
Yeah.
Or every time I don't play for a while, I come back and for a little while I'm playing better than I've ever played. So you seem to have got the balance quite nicely right now, because after that, since 1994, you haven't lost. So
No.
in the build-up to something like the World Championship, what would your practice regime be in the week building up? And how hours and style of practice as well?
It's what I do a lot of finishing. I start at 80, I finish 80, and you keep going until you finish 80, then 81, 82, 83. It's the same as you would on a snooker table. You practice, well, I suppose you practice in your position and everything else, but I practice the finishes, which is the main.
Right, so from 80 upwards?
80 upwards, yeah. So what you're doing is then you're playing the whole board, you're familiarising yourself with all the board.
Right.
So if I wanted to say treble 13, I know exactly where treble 13 is without even thinking about it, because I've done it that many times.
So, but if I shout a number at you, 94, and you immediately know that the finish. But not only that, you've been practicing.
You know that one.
Yeah, 54, 40. Yeah, okay. Right. But anyway, you'd actually be practicing that finish until you'd done it a certain amount of times, and then move on to the next number.
I would do it twice a day.
Right.
I'd finish 80, then 81, 82, 83, 84.
Twice
and
each
I'd do that. I'd go right up to 130.
Right. So you wouldn't touch any of the big numbers then? Oh, come on now.
Well, actually, I tell you what I'm after. I tell you what I really want. I tell you what I want. I want 9 darty. That's what I really want.
Yeah.
And I want to do it against John Lowe if I can, because he's been one of my heroes over the years, and he did a 9 darty.
Yes.
He keeps telling me, he says, no matter how many world championships you've not done a 9 darty. So I want to do a 9 darty.
Well, I mean, it proves in a way that really I think probably the 9 dart finish is even harder than, well, guaranteed than the 147 at snooker that was considered to be an equivalent. Stephen Hendry has moved the 147 into the realms of being just one of those nearly. Yeah. He's done it, I think, 6 or 7 times.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, yeah.
Ronnie O'Sullivan's now started to say, well, you can do it, but I can do it faster.
You do it left-handed.
I think he probably could as well. But I mean, but for you, there's not many things left.
9 darters to 1, and also...
What's it going to feel like if you get on the... I mean, when you do... Let's move on. So
I've actually thrown... I have thrown for the 9 dart. I threw for the ball once in Rochester, and I missed it. It was £25,000. Yes, in the Grand Prix, funny enough, 2 years ago. And it felt as if I'd had electric shock. About all the blood is drained from your body, and you can actually nearly lose a game after, because you're thinking about missing.
Because a 9-dart finish, I mean, a 147, forgetting Ronnie, I mean, he's an exception. A 147 takes over 10 minutes, 10 minutes roughly, perhaps. Cliff Thorburn 20, I don't know, whatever. 9-dart finish is like a minute's work.
I think they asked the bookies once, you know, the odds on this, and they said a hole-in-one in golf was something like 5 to 1. They said a 147, now I think it's 2 to 1, was something like 10 to 1.
For the tournament?
Yeah, to do a 147. Then they asked a 9-dart, something like 30 to 1.
I bet. Yeah.
So but having said that, I suppose if there'd been a lot more 9-darters, then the odds would have been different, wouldn't it?
So you throw the first 3 darts of a 9-darter, and you get off to a flying start with a 180. So you go back and you don't think you know that there's a chance that you're on course, but you don't think any more about it. You don't think there's a 9-dart finish until all of a sudden, surprise, surprise.
Depends how you feel on the day, really, Steve. During the match, you know, if you practiced hard enough. I mean, I'll keep coming back to this practicing. I'll come back to that in a minute. But if you practice and you know you're playing well, then you know there's a chance you're going to get it, because you can tell by it must be the same for you how you feel yourself. I mean, you whitewash people on the snooker table, so you know how you're feeling yourself by the first time you break away. And it's the same for me. I think, hello, I'm on here, I'm going to waffle. And you can tell when you're practicing behind the stage as well.
So how many times have you got the first lot of 3, the first two lots of 3 darts in place for the 9 dart? How many times have you walked to the hockey for the 3rd set of darts with a 9-darter
on TV?
On TV.
Probably 10 times, 12 times.
And does the feeling get any different?
No, dead excited. Really excited, I can tell you. It's better than sex, it really is. When you first get them to it, I tell you. And if it ever goes in, I'm sure I'd have an orgasm on stage. Excuse me.
Apparently, Sid Waddell, one of the commentators, of course, as we know, Sid from the pool world as well, he got so excited once, I think he put you off, did he?
That was the one when I was going for the ball. No, he didn't put me off. The actual box where Sid sits. I mean, that's his job. He just get excited, and he's very good at what he does. And but you could hear it, the sound box where he was. It's supposed to be soundproof.
It's impossible to soundproof Sid.
Yeah. And I could hear him, and I just turned, and he thought it upset me. So actually, when I got back home, I won the tournament and got back home again, and I gave him a ring. And I said, is Sid there, please? And his wife said, who is this? It's Phil Taylor. I said, come to the phone. Hello? You know what I mean? I said, are you all right? He says, yeah, are you? I said, yeah, of course I am. And he says, I thought, you know, he says, I got on the train going back home. This is dead true. And he says, this lad come across to me. He said, he was staring at me all this journey. He said, I thought it was Hitler sitting there. And he said, did you put Phil Taylor off on that 9-darter? And he really thought he put me off, but he didn't know. Not at all.
Failure require 161.
He's on it! He's on it! He wants treble 17!
He can hear you, Sid. He can hear you. We're quite close to the stage. Settles himself. And a pin drops. Treble 17. Got it. Wants the bull for 25,000.
136!
There isn't.
Again, it's the second time this week. Man's missed the ball.
There isn't a person in this arena.
Unbelievable sport, unbelievable accuracy.
Thank you.
The crowd, they go a bit more hushed.
They go crazy. The crowd are... I mean, John Higgins has been watching, and he says, I don't know how you do it, because they're screaming at you. But it's just part and parcel. That's why I think a lot of dart players give it the old...
I think one of the hardest things to do is, I mean, I can understand how if the crowd are making a constant noise, you're there, but all of a sudden I would imagine on a 9-dart finish,
It goes quiet.
Once it goes quiet, then you realise there's something important happening yourself.
That's right. That's why you can hear Sid, because it's normally noisy.
Cool.
And then as soon as suddenly you say, yes, yes, and the 2 180, yes.
Just
and
the
then it
one
goes
Geordie voice.
quiet. Yeah, exactly. You're dead right, actually.
Well, you obviously wouldn't consider it a failure if you never made one. You couldn't
Whoa,
possibly.
I've got to do it now.
You couldn't
I've got to
possibly.
do 9 darts, and I'm after it this year.
Don't you think it's putting more pressure on? Did you sort of...
No.
No.
I want to win the World Championship more times than anybody. I want to set targets if I can. That are going to be, it's going to be hard to achieve anyway. For anybody win the World Championship 6 times on the trot, twice on the trot's hard. Actually, the 6th one was not as hard as the second one. The second one to defend was hard, and the 3rd one was even harder still. But then you seem to get in the role, and players give you more respect than what you deserve, really.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you feel now, without sort of belittling any of the players you play against, because they're all great players.
Yeah.
You know, when you're playing, you're throwing to fractions at the highest level. They're all marvellous players, and if they were outside of that area and playing against what is the norm, they would just look just as brilliant. But do you not think that there's sort of like they're being psyched out a bit, or not hypnotised into losing? But
The older players, yes, I do, yeah. And it's the same, it's exactly the same, darts is exactly the same as in snooker, where you dominated it, I've been dominating it, with the older players, and all of a sudden, there's a young breed coming through, and they're not as respectful of you. And I like that. You've got Chris Mason, you've got the young lad just what could have beat me, Kevin Painter, and they're not frightened of you, not thinking this is not right there, so I've got to practice hard.
you want John Lower?
Yeah, he was terrified he is. So I've got to make them frightened of me somehow.
Well, you can only do that by performance.
By beating them. That's all you've got to do, and that just comes with experience. It's not all about practice. I mean, but you've got to practice. What I did, I used to play in the local leagues, and I was brilliant practicing. Absolutely fantastic. And then I used to say, game on, and I was rubbish. I couldn't put one in treble 20. And there was a fellow named Kelly, his nickname is Kelly, Steve Whitehead, I think his name was, came back a few years ago, and he dropped me out of the team as reserve to this player. It was the worst player you've ever seen in your life. I mean, he couldn't have been led.
Do you want to name him? Just in case.
He was a Bulger, Steve Bulger. I remember. I'll never forget him.
Worst player, Steve. If you're actually there, you're the worst player.
He's Mr. Magoo. He is. I'm telling you. And I thought that's never going to happen again. So what I did is I went back and I practiced the same way as I play. I put myself under pressure. I imagined I was in the World Championship fight every time I went up to that dartboard. And exactly the same. It was a fellow named Roy Emery, who was a county player. He kept saying, practice, Phil, keep practicing. And I said, Roy, I'm getting worse. I was getting worse. He said, you won't, it'll come. And I practiced and I practiced and I practiced for about 2 months. And I said, I'm getting worse. But it just went click.
Yeah.
And then it took me then, that was 1989. And then by the time 1990, I was world number 1.
How many hours are we talking about in the build-up to the World Championship?
A couple hours a day.
Couple of hours a day. But
Now, I'm practicing now about 4 hours a day.
really, that's a hell of a lot.
It is for me. I'm actually
Yeah.
losing weight with it. I'm walking up and down too much.
You get your own darts out.
Yeah.
Oh, we get somebody get the balls out. If we practice it, we don't go get the balls out. But the build-up to. Have you ever felt that you went
Too fast.
no improved in dramatic steps? Like I always felt like, or watching other players coming through, like Stephen Hendry or whoever it may be in the game, they're going along, and all of a sudden, it's like they take another leap. It's not gradual. You just all of a sudden jump up a level.
Another gear, yeah. I think that's what you've got to have in you. You once said something a long time ago, I don't know if you can remember ever saying it, and it was on TV, you said, you've got to be good all the time, and brilliant now and again. And you're dead spot on. And I've remembered that for years, and I've sometimes, when I'm actually in a tough game, I actually, not yourself, but I do think about Henry sometimes, the way he would, when I get in a tough situation, when I start getting nervous, it's a close match, I think, what would he do now? And I'd just step back, think a little bit, and then move back in again, and then carry on the way, and that's what I do. Sometimes, everybody gets nervous, but I'm a very aggressive player. Inside, I don't actually show it, but inside, I'm trying to lift the roof off the building.
You can't change your shots too much. I mean, snooker, you can. I mean, Stephen's greatest ability for me was that he was able to play his natural game when perhaps his back was to the wall. He was quite a wounded tiger, and then he'd go for a good shot rather than close up and and sort of wither away. He'd actually try and bash his way out of trouble.
Right.
But you have a choice at snooker: safety or attack. Every time you go
I'm
to the
attack
table.
all the time.
But at darts, that's the inside. But I mean, you can change your shots.
Yeah, I'm better actually. I'm good. If I'm in front, then I'm good.
How can you be defensive or attacking?
You can't.
So you are playing the same shot. It's how you feel.
but I can step up a gear.
Right.
If I lose a set, I'm excuse me language, I think, right, you're going to bloody get it now, you know what I mean? And that's the way I am. I'm good at I'm good at coming from behind, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Without sounding rude.
No.
But I like that pressure sometimes. I enjoy a good tough match. I've had some cracking games. Over the years, I think there's been about 6 or 7 games on TV, and I've been involved in every one of them. And they've been real classics. One was with Eric as well, funny enough.
The player, just to mention it, the player who, I mean, your domination of the game is equivalent in a way to Stephen Hendry's, and mine was with Eric Bristow's.
Yes.
But the player you took over from the mantle of world #1 was Eric.
Yes.
And apart from the fact that he was involved in building you up, we'll talk about that later, but he enjoyed a fight.
He loves it. He's just.
But does he now? Or do you think it's an age? Do you think at an age all of a sudden you start to sort of not want to have a fight so much?
He's getting respectful. That's what he's doing. He's respecting people. He never had any respect for anybody at one time, and now he's got respect for people, and he's not practicing properly. I mean, Eric, I love to bits, really do. We argue like brothers. We're really like a pair of brothers. We argue all the time. We don't speak half the time,
Right?
Because he gets on my nerves. But I'd love him to come and practice with me. He won't practice with me because he says you make me feel silly, kind of thing, But I wish he would. I wish he'd come with me and get stuck in again, because that's how he used to be.
You think in a way you sort of get out of the habit of competing? In a way, he's shying away from the competition,
so, yeah.
and he's got out of the winning habit, and all of a sudden he's not liking that.
He's giving in. I don't know. I really don't know what it is. I wish I knew.
But then John Lowe,
I think he'd be so good for us if he'd come back.
Yes,
again.
of course. John Lowe, who is Eric's big partner in crime in the 80s, he's still
plodding on.
He's still
I
enjoying
think he's in the
competition.
Yeah, he is. He's a different man, actually. He's just recently got married again, and he's a different man. He's in love, and he's. It's nice to see him actually happy. I've known John for about 12 years, and he's the happiest I've ever seen him. He really is. He's like a spring chicken.
If you look at golf, I mean, golf they've analysed to bits, and they've made it so technical that you think, well, the first thing about golf is you've got to be technically correct, otherwise it doesn't matter what's up there. If that's not right, you may as well go home. Snooker, I don't know, perhaps a halfway house in a way. You have a bit of good technique, but if you look at all the players, they're all different. They all hold the cue differently. Joe Swales like this, and Darren Morgan's like, whatever. So there's no, I don't think there's so much as people read into it. But darts is, in a way, 100% purely mental strength.
I suppose it is, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of concentration involved, and there's a lot of bottling darts. There's no two ways about it. I don't think really that people do appreciate how difficult it is until they actually go and come a tournament and have a watch. You don't get the atmosphere on the TV as what you would actually being there. It's the same. I mean, I go watch the embassy when you're there and whatnot. And it's not the same on TV. It's actually being in the hall.
Must be like
it's exciting.
Must be like a library atmosphere, the snooker, the World Championship compared to darts.
It is actually, yeah. But then again, you need that for concentration.
Well, we've done not necessarily. Years ago, we had a tournament where there was a lot more hustle and bustle, and as long as it's a constant sound, I think you can quite get used to that.
Used to it, yeah.
It's the odd thing that's unusual. Ronnie O'Sullivan was put off by a Teletubby once. Somebody had a plastic blow-up Teletubby. Now, you don't expect to see one of those in the front row. So, or a cameraman's clicks out of place, or you don't mind the sweet wrappers that some of the old girls bring along, and they're sitting in the front row and they're trying to be as quiet as possible. So to be trying to be as quiet as possible with a bald
takes
sweet,
longer.
They slowly unwrap it, and then once they put it in their mouth, and they decide to wrap the paper up again for some reason. Just scrunch up quickly. They close it. So those noises are awful for a snooker player, but the general noise is okay. But what have you got at your tournaments?
Everything. You, David.
Have you got people trying to deliberately put you off?
All the time. Especially when a bookie's in the room. Because we have bookies there, see. Well, I mean, I'm something like 12 to 1 on. Say I was playing you, I'd be like 12 to 1 on, and you might be 10 to 1 to beat me, just a 2-horse race. So people are going to put money on you. Because you're there anyway, you're going to be good because you're there.
Yeah.
So people have 20 quid on you. So they've got to try and put you off.
And there's no security, I mean, there's limits.
You do get the odd ones try and run on and whatever, I mean, yeah, we've had a streaker once.
Oh, we better well.
Well, we had a man, you had a woman.
Oh, you had a man?
Yeah. Big lad as well.
Did he trip over anything?
No, bless him. He actually went to the bookies about 10 minutes before he did it and asked for the odds of a streaker being at the top match.
Oh, no. And then they didn't give him any, so he decided to do it anyway.
He just did it, yeah. He said, "What's the odds of having a streak here?" He said, "There isn't any." He said, "Oh, never mind." Off and run down the gantry.
What's the best venues? Are they all roughly the same venues you play in?
We do some lovely places, Steve. We do a tournament in Vegas where we play in the big hotels in Vegas. They are beautiful. They are. We did one once in Atlantic City in the Taj Mahal, and that venue was.
But perhaps not so much atmosphere as
No, I mean the circus.
Lakeside
To me,
or
the
Circus
Circus
Tavern.
Tavern's fantastic. Also, you got the Lakeside at Primley Green, which is beautiful. Eric used to have a place called the Crafty Cockney at one time, which I believe you've been
Yes,
in there, and
yeah.
that was a great venue, really. It was like a circle type of thing, and the stage was in the middle, so you could see from wherever you were sitting. It was really good. It's changed now. I mean, the place is a beefeater or something now.
But of course, if you played in the quiet atmosphere of a snooker tournament, you wouldn't be able to throw a dart properly, would you? You're now addicted to the
I don't know,
hustle and
really.
bustle.
I'd
Be too respectful.
I'd love to be a snooker player. It's one of my passions. When you were saying
play?
earlier on,
You-
you practice with your father darts, and funny enough, me and Sean, who practice together, as soon as we finish, we go down the snooker hall.
What's the highest break?
Me, 34.
Decent enough.
Rubbish.
It's a tough. Well, it's
Your father's on 58, and you said he's rubbish.
my father's highest break's 58, but I think he's probably put a lot more hours in than you. And,
Yes.
funnily enough, I'm not too sure. It's not been too well documented, but I, in a way, I should have been a dart player. It was my father's fault or whatever it is. I was probably going to be a dart player.
Was yeah.
What happened
That
was,
helps us.
well, I don't know about
So they got
any
beat you
good.
as well.
I don't know any good. I don't know. My father was a big a social club player, darts. He used to play for a pub team, and he used to play for the local
Yes.
working men's club. And he was very decent for his area. I don't know how good, but
Yeah.
decent. Until he got something called dartitis, which of course was, in fact, he couldn't let go of the last dart, like it happened to Eric
Yes.
Bristow a bit. He just, for some reason, a mental block. But he just couldn't let go of the last dart, and tried throwing left-handed. He loved darts that much, wanted to still play.
Did
Was throwing right-handed, and the last dart, he was getting to the stage where he was nearly falling over. He couldn't let go of it. So he eventually, got desperation stakes, tried throwing left-handed.
he? And he did it.
Gave that up because he was obviously garbage. Decided to completely stop playing darts and bought a snooker cue. Fell in love with snooker.
Yeah.
And by the time I came along, after a twinkle in his eye, the next moment, Dad's got a cue in the corner, Pot Black was on the television, and I'm following my father's footsteps as a hobby.
Excellent.
But I'd have had a set of darts
Yeah.
and been down the pub with him.
Very similar to me, that is, to be honest with you. Going back a long time ago, I used to live in a Teddy Stouse in Tunstall. And even when I was a little baby, my mother and father, but no television then, them days, no money about it. I don't know if your father did. But my mother and father were very, very, just very poor, really. And that was the pastimes. I mean, they used to just play games, cards. Used to throw the hoops then, remember the hoops?
Yes, yeah.
Play the hoops and play darts all the time. And then used to have like little knockouts in the local pub next door. Used to go down there once a week and play in knockouts. So it's been in my life all through me, since I was a little baby.
Well, it's part of British culture, isn't it? And snooker and darts, and they get slagged off a bit for being, just a pub game or just a parlour game, whatever it
Yeah.
is, which I really take exception to. It's unfair. Now, to many people, they're pastimes. They are, and there's great fun to be had around a dartboard or a snooker table. But then, it becomes another level if you play it competitively, and there's no difference to any other sport.
No, there isn't, not at all. In fact, it's very difficult to be a professional dart player, to be honest. There's not only the travelling, there's a lot of pressure on you. There's a lot of good players, there's millions of good players now, especially in Europe. I mean, I've just done a tour of the East. I've been in China, Malaysia, Manila, and then I did a week in Thailand. And they're getting really good over there, and also the pool as well, especially in the Thailand areas and whatever, because of Efra and Rez.
Yes.
And I was playing them pool over there, and they were brilliant.
They're
They
marvellous.
really were good players.
Well, they're going to be aggressive, and that's the thing about it, isn't it? And I
And
think
because they've got no money, they got a chance of earning. I mean, what did I play? Ray Barneveld, and they said, "How much did you win?" I said, 60,000 on that one. And it was like £1 million to them. Wow, and they're there practicing the darts next day.
When you were playing darts at a junior level, though, or in the pub, or whatever, with your father or whatever, you obviously had no idea you were ever going to turn out to be the best
No.
darts player ever. But of course, you fell in love with the game. But then, what would be the biggest break for you? So, was it the fact? Was it this Eric Bristow? How did it progress from being just a good darts player locally, county player, I suppose?
I didn't play. I used to play when I was young, about 15, 16. I was good, very good then.
What about school? I mean, did they know you were a decent school darts player? You kept that
No,
quiet?
I didn't play then. No. I tried everything. I wanted to earn a living at something. I didn't fancy being work all my life. So I thought, I want to be good at something. So I tried weightlifting. I did that for a few years. I was okay, but not brilliant. And then I tried boxing. I got knocked out 3 or 4 times. I thought, this is not for me. And then I tried snooker. I thought, this is for me. I'm going to kill them lot at snooker. And Steve Davies got no chance when I get old of him.
Oh, I wasn't around then, was I? Oh, don't. No, I couldn't have been. No.
He's having it now. And darts was just natural. Just picked it up and bang, away I went.
I'm more fascinated with the weightlifting. How did you sort of decide to try weightlifting? Who was the guy who was around years ago?
Bodybuilding, actually.
Oh, bodybuilding. Oh, well, fair enough. So then you start playing darts, and you get discovered, I suppose, by the world of darts as being phenomenal for your area.
I started in a club, CIU club, local league, and played there for about 6 months. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed looking forward to the Tuesday night out. I didn't go out much then, and didn't have any money, and enjoyed the Tuesday nights out. And then a fellow named Alan Bridge, he was a local county player, asked me if I played Super League. And from there then, I played Super League probably about 12 months and got picked for the county. And that's when I met Eric.
Right.
But Alan Bridge was the one that really nurtured me through when I first started. Was encouraging me all the time. I had no money at all. Really skint.
And you didn't really have any idea that you were that
I
good?
knew I was good, and I knew.
Right.
I thought, I can do this, I can make it. And I keep setting targets to myself. I thought, right, get picked for the county. And as soon as I got picked for the county, I thought, right, get in England now.
Of course, at that time Eric was number one?
He was, yeah.
Or John Lowe, between
Yeah.
the two of them, they were battling it out.
No, Eric was number one then.
So they were your big idols?
Yeah, I suppose they were, yeah. I used to like Jockey as well. Jockey, we and Jockey become good friends. We still are. I see Jockey now and again. He's up in Scotland, and I call in and see him. And I really like Jockey. He's a lovely man, really. I mean, he did get a bit thingy with the crowd. The crowd used to get on his nerves sometimes because he didn't take a lot of stick. I've been with Jockey. We did a few exhibitions. We were over in Gibraltar a couple of times, and he used to get a lot of stick off people. He'd insult you, you know. And he's one of the fiery tempers, and he just couldn't hack it. If you insulted him, then you'd get a right hand. As simple as that.
Mind you, Eric was.
Yeah,
he give plenty back, didn't he? Did he not used to sort of antagonise the crowd and get them
Eric
right at it?
He would. I've seen Eric beat people in the practice room. Without a shadow of a doubt, I've seen him just gone.
But at the same time, he'd be carrying on a conversation with the crowd, having a go at somebody while he's still playing.
Oh yeah,
that's how it seemed on the television.
He would, yeah. That's the old England matches. I used to play Scotland. It used to be and I in Wales. It was brilliant atmosphere.
So the fact that you teamed up with Eric, or not teamed up with him, but he decided to take you under. Was it his decision to sort of?
It was him and Maureen Flowers as well. They were together then, and Eric's career he was struggling a little bit, and I was very similar to Eric then. I was very cocky, very brash and in your face type of thing, and I got threatened a few times for it. But actually, I think as you get older, that just your rough edges whittle away a little bit. And he took me under his wing as such. He didn't blame me anything. And people keep saying Eric taught you. He never taught me. No. He sponsored me. I think them days, I took voluntary redundancy, and them days it was like £8,000.
Was this from weightlifting? Voluntary?
No.
What was it? Voluntary redundancy?
I was working as an engineer, as a turner. I was a ceramic turner.
I wasn't making your own.
Making things. No, it was in clay.
All right.
Ceramic. It was called. Ceramics clay.
Yes, yeah, I've got that.
So
right area you are in, called Stoke.
Yes, right in the Potteries. And took voluntary redundancy and went on the dole for 12 months.
All right. Well, let the state pay for your dart practice. Well, only for a little while. You're going to pay it back in the end. I'm sure you have.
Well, I was on £74 a week. I was on. I can remember it as plain as anything. And £70 was for live on, and £4 a week was my pocket money. And I used to go out on a Tuesday, play on a Tuesday. Used to have £2 for a Tuesday. And then I used to have £2 for on a Thursday. But Thursday you had to pay 50p subs. So I had £1.50. And then Maureen's husband, ex-husband, John Flowers, used to have a tournament on a Saturday for £15 for the winner.
All right.
Now that was 3 weeks pocket money, 4 weeks pocket money.
Yeah.
So, and if you did a 10-darter, you got £50 bonus. So that was my motivation, because I got no money, see.
But Jim Rempe, we've had on the programme from the World of American Pool, was totally not hustling, playing for money from the start. You weren't playing for money then.
No, they wouldn't. You couldn't get them games. No. They wouldn't play.
They just wouldn't play you.
No.
No, I see. Right.
Not for
more the fact that obviously everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would have done
Very quickly.
Of course. Yes.
And you said the same thing earlier on. You said you had a massive following then when you were like amateurs, and I did as well. There's no people following me around watching.
And they'd be gambling on you.
That's right.
And making a few quid with your
Yes.
opponent's
That's in county
supporters.
matches. Yeah. Exactly.
So at no time did Derek Bristow and yourself ever discuss shots and the get-outs and the way out of it?
It's funny. When he first did, I did 80 to 130 with Eric, and he used to tell me like, let's say it was 119.
Sorry, hold on. You did 80. It's obviously the same as a lineup, isn't it? This is the same as me saying to Steve Nendry, "Oh, I've done the lineup 5 times this morning."
Yeah.
So 80 to 130 is a well-known saying in the world of darts.
Yeah, I mean, he's finishing. Yeah, but he'd say like, let's say I wanted 119, and I'd go say 20 first, treble 20, 19 double top, and that's the wrong way to go because if you hit 20, you're left with 99, and you can't finish. So Eric used to tell me the different finishes, but he only had to tell me once, and it just sunk in.
Right.
I was just natural at it. I don't know why. He'd say like, if you go for 19, that leaves you 100 treble 20 double top. But if you hit treble 19, that leaves you 62, which is treble 12 double 13 or 12 bull. And then I could remember it. As soon as he told me, I'd remember it. And it just stuck with me for a long time.
Yeah. 8 times world dart champion. Not 8 times embassy world dart champion.
No.
Twice embassy world dart champion. And then all of a sudden, there was a massive split in darts. That really, at that stage, darts was massive on the television, and certainly from entertainment point of view, certainly from the viewing figures. What happened, in a nutshell?
Just no promotion. I mean, the manufacturers were struggling. The manufacturers were going under, to be honest with you, and needed promoting. And to be perfectly honest, the actual what happened within the meetings we don't know because we were never there. So we were getting one story off the BDO and we're getting one story off the people representing us, and it just turned very, very ugly, to be honest. It cost a lot of money. I personally put a lot of money into it. I think something like £300,000 or £400,000 each. Really, for nothing. It was just £1 million for nothing, really.
To get nowhere.
To get nothing.
And the end result was a split in the game.
There is a split in the game. The split is actually now gone, but there's two bodies now.
Which and two.
I'd love to see us all back together. I mean, I've still got a lot of friends in the BDO, and I always will have. And I've got, but it's unfortunate.
But then all of a sudden there was the meeting of the Battle of the Giants this year.
Yeah, with Barry. Yeah, he's brilliant. Yeah.
We put on the 2 world champions from the different disciplines, different bodies, last summer in a big
Wembley.
Yeah, Wembley. What a venue.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And what was that? You played Barneveld.
Exciting, absolutely.
Barneveld, who. Forgive me, I've got this all wrong. I think. I honestly, this is my view of it. Right now, I'm sure you can shoot me down in flames. All the top players went to Sky, and you had the painters and decorators playing on BBC. Right? That's how I saw it. I mean, but all of a sudden, all the part-timers.
You said that, not me.
No, fair enough. I think there's a lot of public out there viewed the same way who knew enough about darts. All of a sudden, the painters and decorators are getting a bit better. So all of a sudden now you get incredible players coming in, and Barneveld was a credible champion.
He's very good.
Yeah.
I mean,
so now when you're playing him, and you wouldn't have played him too much.
I'd never played him before in my life.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, please serve a great champion from Holland, Mr. Rivalries. And the winner, Bill Taylor.
That match was fantastic. That was like I was playing for England more than myself. Really, I didn't want to lose. That was one match I did not want to lose, and I didn't. And I put a lot of hours in for that one. A lot of hours in for it. But it was only 1 hour, and I wanted it to be more because I got on top of him, and I was beating him fairly convincingly.
You were, weren't you?
Yeah, and they were going 10, 9, 8. They're counting the clock, and I'm thinking, shut up! I want to carry on. I want to carry on and beat him, really beat him. It was good.
That's one of the problems of starting talking about the fact that no Olympic golds for snooker or darts players, regardless of whether it should be Olympics or sports. Neither here nor there, but because our two sports, probably in Britain, they're the two strongest sports for Britain.
In the world, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, we're unchallenged in a way, apart from the occasional good player that comes over. But we lose out on representing our country, really representing.
Yeah.
The same way as perhaps the Olympic athletes can become massive heroes to the country because they're doing it against the Americans and against everybody, and it's just we're one little island. We are the best at snooker and darts.
I know.
And it's, I feel a bit cheated. I don't feel cheated really, but you feel like you'd
we've
like
never
to.
had it, have we? So we don't know what we're missing, do we? Really? That's the way I look at it. I mean, people do. I get this all the time, and I don't really know what I'm missing. So I don't. As long as I can look after my family, that's it really. I mean, we don't earn the money that you earn, but I do earn a good living. I do earn. I mean, when Eric sponsored me for £8,000, I mean, you might as well have said 8 million, because there's no way. I got £4 a week, and I was going away. I was going abroad, and the lads used to think I was very boring because I couldn't go out. To come out with us? No. I used to take tins of Coke and bags of crisps because I got no money. I only got £4. I couldn't even afford the bus fare to get down to the airport. But that's what made me into a winner, and it still does. I still class £50 as a lot of money, whereas some of these I've only won £2 grand. It's a lot of money if people don't realise it. I'm not money motivated, don't get me wrong, but as long as I can set myself up for life and I've got 4 children, so I have to think about their futures a little bit, because there's not a lot of work out there now. Two of them. One of them works for me. My eldest daughter works for me now, but my son is working. He's making kilns, which you use for pottery.
Yes, I'm aware. Yeah, as well. With that. I've got this ceramic bit now. I'm buzzing now with ceramics. I've moved away from metalwork.
Sorry,
but that's a lovely situation to be in. 4 kids. It's like, I mean, in the world of snooker, we've got a few of the lads have created quite building up to 5-a-side football teams. Jim's doing very well, although
he is.
daughters. And Joe Johnson's flying. He's buzzing there. I don't think he's stopped yet. I'm not too sure. But
what about yourself?
We stuck at 2. We're one of those jobs. But you would have. What would you'd have still been in the potteries, working in
I had a good job. I mean, the job isn't as good now as what it was then, because the work isn't there now. But I don't know really, Steve, what have I been doing? I've still been tinning, I think. I remember John Wilkinson, who was my landlord, and he was like a little bit of a sponsor for me. And before the embassy, there was a tournament in the town, and it was £50 entry fee. 50 quid, I mean. I've got no chance of paying it. So John used to sponsor me for things like that. And I was 16-1. I wasn't a county player. Never played, serious really. And I won it. And all the top players were in it. And I won it easy. And I was 16-1. And all the local lads had all put money on me. Like, I remember them coming in the pub saying, because I used to wait behind the bar for John, help him out a little bit, saying, you bought me a new gas cooker, and you bought me a new stove, and you bought me a new car.
It's a nice feeling.
It's great. And the nicest feeling that I've ever had in darts was the first time I won the embassy. And I was 125-1 odds. So everybody was having £10s and £20 on me. I actually had an award off Labrooks for breaking the bank, because you have to pay so much money out. I mean, landlord won.
Did they sack the guy who made the price?
No. And one old woman stopped me in the street, and I'll never forget as long as I live. And she said, "Oh, Phil Taylor, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Yeah." She says, "Can I shake your hand?" And blah, blah, blah. I said, "Yeah, of course you can." And she said, "I had a £5 on you. Your last £5. Oh, she won £750. Now, you'd have thought she
massive.
won. Yeah.
That's marvellous.
I mean, then, probably 12 years ago, the pension was only about £40 a week. And I was crying. I had to go. I had to say, I'll see you again. I was crying walking down the street. A lovely feeling that was. That's what brings it all to you, really.
I get people coming up there saying, "You cost me 50." When he played Dennis Taylor, "You cost me." No, but that's a lovely situation to be in, isn't it? I mean, and in a way, as you say, financially, that's not. I mean, it's great. In a way, darts has taken
it all back to you.
Darts has taken you out of what would have been a normal existence, and you wouldn't have complained, into something it's fairy tale, really.
Caravan, we used to go away, and we used to go down to Cornwall in a caravan, and what we used to do, probably you've done the same, we used to get as wages, as holiday pay. You pay for your caravan, which then I think was about £50 a week. That'd be £100 for 2 weeks. And then we used to split as money each day. We'd have like, I don't know, what would it be on, about £200 a week then, so that's like £400. So I'd have £200 left, last me for 14 days. So we used to split it up like £10 a day.
Sounds like a lot. As long as you don't drink too much beer.
No, we didn't drink then. I was fit as a fiddle then, and we used to, that's how we did it. You know? So if you only spent £8 one day, you got £12 the next day.
You're doing a bit of travelling around the country. I believe you do a bit in the camper van to save a
got a
few quid
motorhome,
in the past. Oh, you still have?
Yeah, it's on the car park, yeah. I've had it for a few years now. I love it. I really enjoy it.
We haven't got to talk to any night porters, have you?
No. Gives you more time, Steve. I mean, and tonight I'm in Rochdale with Alan Glazier. Remember old Alan Glazier? And I can get there, I can set up, I take some gear with me, and then just relax. A little TV in there, and there's a shower in there, and central heating. It's lovely. It's home from home, really.
So now all of a sudden we're 8 times world champion. There's obviously a natural
How many
number
have
that
you
Oh, only 6.
Oh dear.
Stephen Hendry's only 7. You're 8.
I know. That's one thing I keep doing on Steve.
Obviously there's a natural number looming, although it's still a while away. At best it's a year and a half away. But 10's well, 10 is enormous, isn't it?
I will do 10. I'll definitely do 10. I shall do 9. I shall win it this year, definitely, because I'll be practicing ready for it. And also, if you're a betting man, Ray Barneville to win the Embassy.
Right, with 1-2 again.
I think so. I've played Ray over about 4 times this year, and he's played absolutely superb. He actually beat me in Switzerland, beat me in the semi-final, and he was brilliant. Really was, and he's really, as you know, you've been world champion, and when you lose that world championship, it's gutting, and if you're a true champion, you'll be back the year after, and Ray is. Ray's a good world champion, and he'll be back. I feel sorry for the BDO lads in a way, because like Ted Hankey's world champion, but nobody gives him respect for it. No. We all keep saying you aren't world champion until you beat Phil. Well, I was talking. I'm saying he is world. He's named on that trophy.
I think I was just reflecting how a lot of the punters who are watching at home view it. And I mean, sort of talking without knowing any of the really being involved in the scene. I think you're allowed to say things that you wouldn't be allowed to say. But in the past, that seems to have been the way. But of course, if you don't beat Phil Taylor, you're not world champion. In everybody's eyes.
If I was a snooker player and I was world champion, say, let's say 10 years ago, there's no chance I'd have been world champion unless I'd have beat you. Simple as that. When you were tops. You say you're not. He is a world champion. You're not.
Younger players coming through in the British Darts Association. Younger players coming through. Somebody. I know it's not something you ever want to talk about, but I mean, I think we're all realistic enough to know. Apart from it seems like the boxing fraternity, you believe they're going to go on forever. Somewhere down the line, you lose the evil eye. You lose the power.
Yeah,
but of course, that's nothing to be afraid of. And I think I look at Stephen Hendry, who I think is taking it on the chin very well. That life's changed for him a little bit, but he hasn't devastated him. I think it was worse for me. I think I took it so badly. I really didn't take that part very well when somebody came along, and I really struggled.
You don't like it now. I mean,
nobody likes it.
I watch snooker a lot. Now I look at your face and express.
I hate it.
I know you do.
But you're going to hate it as well. But it's going to happen. But then, of the younger players coming through, seen anybody yet?
Plenty.
Oh, they're queuing
I actually
up.
went to Sweden about 12 months ago, and a 15-year-old lad, I played him first round about 9 o'clock in the morning, and he walloped me. It was brilliant. He really was. He was 180, 140, somebody tells out.
You've won it 8 times. You still haven't given up. I mean, you're not easy now.
No,
you're even stronger now. And I know a little bird tells me that you're on a sponsored Keep Fit sponsored
diet,
a sponsored Slim for charity. What's the rules here?
Just get your weight off.
There's
no time limit. No.
There's no time limit.
No.
But is there a number limit? Is per ounce?
Per pound. Yeah. The Weight Watchers have given me money. The Sun Paper have offered money and whatever. Look, it is difficult, I must admit.
Do you think it's going to? Do you have any ideas?
I've just changed my lifestyle.
Les Dodd, a little-known snooker player to perhaps the people who only watch big tournaments, but people who are into snooker would know the name of Les Dodd.
Yeah.
Good player from the Southport area. Was Weight Watcher of the Year.
Was he?
And he was called Big Doddy.
You better give me his number.
Yeah, well, Big Doddy. His name was, and he slimmed down, and he was unrecognisable.
Yeah.
But the only thing was that he didn't play as well. Well, he didn't seem like he played well because he'd lost where his cue was, and he didn't look the same player. And then he'd gone back again to the same size.
And he's back again.
And he's not back again, but he's going back again because he liked it when he was so. But it'd be interesting to see if you knock a few, if all of a sudden you say, hold on a minute,
No, I actually play better
You would think so, wouldn't
yeah,
you?
because I practice more. I've lost a bit of weight, and I was about stone, 2 stone heavy, and I was tired all the time. I didn't feel like motivated. I didn't feel like getting out of bloody bed, to be honest. I was bone idle, and that's the problem. My mate Sean, he's the one that keeps getting me up. Come on, get up. Taking me downtown shopping. I've never been shopping in my life, and I'm walking around shopping. Sign as this. I'm thinking, oh. But I've actually enjoyed it. I've actually bought a pair of shoes. I've never done that.
Well, new one.
Yeah,
Oh,
honestly,
fantastic. Well,
kickers.
I'll tell you what, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today, Phil.
Thank you.
Long may you continue to play the greatest darts that's ever been seen. And if you actually do get down to your fighting weight, God help the rest of them, I can tell you that.
Pardon me, breath.
Yeah, but it's been fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.